Alright, so let's go ahead and get started styling our navigation. We'll just run a quick get status, make sure we're good in there. Let's go take a quick peek at what we're about to do. First of all, we know where our our local host is at the moment. We're halfway through the 102 step, and we're on the second branch in this step. And where we currently came from is here. That's our production, and where we're headed to is to get this menu that unfolds and comes out as we're hovering over it, so that we can navigate to our sub menus. So the way that we need to do that, we have everything is in place now. We actually have all of our through the app.js, we have everything being built, and it all is looking good at this point. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and we need to add some style to it. The way that we're going to add the style to it is basically we're going to pull in a style sheet. And we need to do this because the way that it's going to work is we're basically going to copy and paste the majority of our styles right into the style sheet, and we're not going to focus too much on styles, but we will take a moment to talk about what they're doing and take a look. So let's go ahead, let's open up our index, make sure we're in the right branch, which we are. And inside of our index, we're going to go ahead and right down here underneath the header resize, we're going to just put in a link to a style sheet that we're going to create and make it look nice. Make sure that we're good there. And then of course we're going to go ahead and we're going to create this style sheet, and we're going to create it in the CSS folder, and we're going to say new file, and we're going to create style.css. At this point we can go ahead and we can open it up. Let's save our index.html, and we're going to open it up, and unfortunately, because everything is dynamically drawn, we can't really see what it is that we're doing. So there's a trick around doing this. So one of the nice things about Dreamweaver that'll let us do is we have different view modes. And so what we'll do is we'll close this out, and if you come up here and you look under split, you can see that we have code, which is kind of crazy. We don't really need to use that or discuss it. We have code and design. So design is what kind of lets us, as we're doing things inside the browser, see the results of what we're doing up there. And then we have split for code live. What's cool about live is, as we're designing the CSS, we need that menu to see what's going on, and it's not there in static. But what's nice about the Dreamweaver Live view is the fact that what it does do is it processes JavaScript, and therefore it processes Ajax, and therefore it actually draws our menu for us, which is really nice. And the way that we could do that, you can't get there if you just open up your style CSS. You won't get that split view. But the way that we can do that is by clicking up here and getting our style CSS, which allows us to just start doing our menu and see the results of what we're doing. We're not going to dive too much into the CSS as much as really just copy and paste, and it will be made available to you. But I encourage you to go ahead and play with the CSS so that you better understand what exactly it's doing. We'll just do brief overviews here, and we're going to start off with by just going after that top nav element. And what we're doing that nav element is we're telling it to come off to the right by 250 pixels, and we're telling it to display in line, and we want that position fixed, which is what allows us to tell it to come off of the right. We're giving it a background color of white, as we can see, and we're giving it a z-index of 1000. And what the z-index is doing is it's saying to sit over top of 999 layers below it. Therefore, it'll, as we can see, display over top of everything. We're giving it a bottom radius. We can't see it right now, but we're actually giving the navigation a bottom so that it's going off the page because it's fixed and we won't be able to see it right now. But it's giving that curve to the bottom of the the menu, as we'll see as we get going, and then we're telling it padding right. So we're just telling it to always stay 20 pixels off of the right side. Now we're going to go after the first list element. And in going after the first list element, what it's allowing us to do is basically to get rid of, lists have default styles from the browser, and we want to get rid of that because we don't want the dots and the things like that on it. And we're telling these list items to stay relative to where they are. When we use position relative, we're basically saying any direction that we give you as far as placement, it should be relative to where you're sitting. So if you're inside a div, top and left 0, top 0, and left 0 should be against the top left side of the div. And by telling it to float left, that's essentially what we're telling it to do, is to stay over to the left side of the div. We'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead and go after the any anchor tags inside. We want to display as a block, as we can see what we're doing here. Display as a block. No text decoration, meaning when we go over top that, don't do the normal text thing that happens. And we're setting the line height and the font height, width, and padding. And we're just making a few adjustments through here. Setting the font size, the color of the text itself, which is 333. From there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give the list items. We're going to go after some of that styling. And what we do when we do that is we're basically telling it, again, that position relative, to float left, have no margin, and have no padding. So that's what's allowing us to, if you notice, love, things, and then underneath things. So everything is floating to the left. If you can envision this, that's the first list item. Things is below that. People is below that. And their submenus fall below that. And that's how we handle that. And we're going to throw ahead a current item in, which we'll use later, much later. But basically what this will allow us to do is by putting this nav ULLI current menu item, when you are on that page, eventually we'll have it that if you click on one, it will show a little differently. The background will stay a little darker, letting you know, indicating that that's where you are. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and make sure that we have some interactivity in there by adding a hover color, and by putting the background and setting it at DDD. Now let's clean up our code a little bit here. I'm catching that I'm not closing off the ends. It's not going to wreck our code, but it's definitely not clean code. So we want to make sure that we have some clean code. So make sure semicolons are at the end. But anyways, we add this. If you see, when we go in and hover now, you can actually see that the lists are actually getting a background color, and that's called a pseudo code for you if you don't know that by now. Next thing we're going to do is, of course, we want that list to tuck up underneath, and we don't want all these list items showing across the stage. And the way that we do that is we tell it to display none. And by telling it to display none and take an absolute position, what we're telling it is to go sit up there and put all your submenus away, and we'll deal with them at a later point. And of course we're rounding off these menus as well with that bottom right radius. So now that we have that completed, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our menu widths look nice, and that they're a nice width, and that they don't float out of the way. And so if we hit save, we'll see once we get the menu to actually come out, we'll actually see if we go ahead and we jump ahead a little bit and we put our hover display block. If you remember up here we said hover display none. Display none on the ULs. Now with the hover, what it does is it changes that display and allows them to fall out. And what we have to do is offset our submenus now so that they actually look nice and don't get confusing. And the way that we can do that is, first we'll go ahead and we'll put in more styling for our actual link tags. Go ahead, get our, I don't know what I was thinking with these semicolons. Let's get them cleaned up. And if we go and we look, right, we're maintaining that line height, that width, and things like that. And the only thing that we have to do now is shift those over so that they don't look silly. And we're going to put that above the hover as well. We want that to register in, and we're saying top, and we want you to go left 100%. And by going left 100%, what it's telling you is, you can see this is offsetting 100% off of this, and it's going over to the left. And we end up with that nice effect, that nice hover effect, and it's all CSS. It's all just rules telling it what to do and using hover to show it out. So at this point, the link will be in the assignment to the GitHub for the styles. You'll be able to go and grab them there. Go ahead and check me. Make sure that my styles are clean when you grab them. Make sure that there's no missing semicolons or anything like that. Let's save it, and let's go out and let's take a look real quick at our finished on localhost, and we can see refreshed in the background, and we can see that our menu is working wonderfully. So at this point, that wraps up the navigation, and we're able to move on to some more exciting things in the next video, in the next lesson. In the next video, we'll go ahead and we'll actually merge this into production, merge it into master, and then push to production. Making sure, just double checking again, no errors. And of course, now we should go and do a commit. We want to do a get status and see where we're at, and we can see that we added the style CSS and that we modified the index. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that, and if we do another get status, we'll see that that all came in and is registered in there. And so we'll go ahead and we'll do another commit here, right? Git commit -m for message, come in here, added style.css to assets/css, and included CSS for top navigation menu, period. Linked, and let's use the path assets/css/styles style.css to the index.html page. And at that point, we can go ahead and do our commit, do a get status, and we are good. So we will wait. Next video, we'll go ahead and we'll push this branch up. We'll go ahead and merge it to master and do a release to production.